Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Survivor Series 2020 review. And Survivor Series just ended a little while ago, and I thought Survivor Series this year, though it was just an okay show. I mean, it was enjoyable, but it wasn't the best pay-per-view of the year. It wasn't the best WWE pay-per-view of the year, and it wasn't a great show by any means. But, I've seen a lot of people online, they're saying, oh yeah, Survivor Series is one of the best WWE pay-per-views of this year. It was an amazing show. What? What show were you watching? I wasn't watching an amazing show that, this pay-per-view was. This show wasn't amazing. It was just okay. But the whole show was built and hyped around The Undertaker's final farewell, which it's not going to be the final time we see The Undertaker. You really think WWE is going to have The Undertaker go out there and have his farewell in front of a virtual crowd? No. When the pandemic is over and WWE allows live reaction, the fans being there in the arena, that's when they're going to let The Undertaker come back, and they're going to give him a last time that we're going to see him in front of a live crowd. That's what I think WWE is going to do. So this is not going to be the final farewell or the final time we'll be seeing The Undertaker. But we'll get into the supposed final farewell of The Undertaker is what they're calling it. So we'll get to talk about that. But let's get on with the Survivor Series review. So on the pre-show, which I did not watch, I did not see, I was still working when the pre-show was on. So we had a dual brand battle royal, which we had Ricochet, Jeff Hardy, Elias, John Morrison, The Miz, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Apollo Crews, Kalisto, Shinsuke Nakamura, Chad Gable, Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler, and Buddy Murphy. The Miz ended up winning the match, and he tossed Dominic over the ropes to win the match. So I'm like, why is the Miz winning this battle royal? Isn't he the Money in the Bank briefcase holder? So why did the Miz have to win? Thank God I did not see this match. You have the Money in the Bank briefcase winner win the battle royal. And what does he get? What does the Miz get? Nothing. So then we went to the regular matches on the pay-per-view card. So Survivor Series started off with the 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match for the men. It was Team Raw versus Team Smackdown. On Team Raw, you had AJ Styles, Matt Riddle, you had Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Keith Lee. And they ended up taking on Team SmackDown, which Team SmackDown consists of Seth Rollins, Jay Uso, Kevin Owens, Corbin, and Otis. And I gotta say, this was a pretty enjoyable 5-on-5 Survivor Series match for the men. We had Team Raw end up coming out first, and then Team SmackDown. So we had Styles end up starting off the match with Jay Uso. Jay Uso ended up taking Styles into the corner. Jay Uso ended up delivering a drop kick to Styles. So Jay Uso ended up throwing punches at Styles, delivered a right hand. So Styles ended up taking Jay Uso down, and they went back and forth with each other. Jay Uso tried to get a pin on Styles, but Styles ended up kicking out. Styles ended up sending Jay Uso, flying. Jay Uso ended up catching Styles with a Samoan drop. Jay Uso ended up going for the pin, but Styles ended up kicking out too. So there was a point in the match where Seth Rollins and Sheamus were in the ring. So Seth Rollins ended up dropping to his knees, and he ended up telling Sheamus, "Do what you gotta do." So then Sheamus ended up broke kicking Seth Rollins. Sheamus went for the pin. Seth Rollins ended up getting eliminated. So there you go. Seth Rollins was taken out of the match, and the only reason why they did this is because, Becky Lynch, Rollins' girlfriend, Becky Lynch, is expecting a baby. So Seth Rollins has to take time off. And another reason why, in my head, why Seth Rollins made Sheamus do this is because, there was reports that, Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle didn't get along backstage. So Seth Rollins was talking all this shit about Matt Riddle. And so that might be another reason why Seth Rollins wanted to eliminate himself from the matchup, because he didn't want to face Matt Riddle. So that's that. But at the end of the match, Team Raw ended up winning. We had Jey Uso end up going to finish on AJ Styles, but Styles ended up, Keith Lee ended up grabbing Jey Uso on his shoulders, and he ended up hitting the Spirit Bomb. So we had Keith Lee end up win the match for Team Raw. But post-match, we saw Paul Heyman was shown backstage, and he looked disappointed at Jey Uso. So that was, basically that. But overall, it was an enjoyable 5-on-5 Survivor Series match for the men for Raw and for Team Raw and Team Smackdown. But it was, like I said, it was enjoyable. And then we had the New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston versus the Street Profits of Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. This was a good match here, and it was back and forth between these guys. We had Xavier Woods and Angelo Dawkins starting off the match, and it looked like Dawkins wanted Kofi into the match. Kofi ended up coming in. Him and Dawkins went at it for a little bit. Montez Ford ended up tagging back in. So Montez Ford and Kofi ended up going at it. Montez Ford ended up dropping Kofi with the shoulder. Montez Ford was dancing around the ring, and he was running the ropes. Montez Ford then ended up catching Kofi, and Kofi ended up countering that. So they both were running the ropes. Montez Ford ended up sending Kofi out of the ring. And Kofi ended up flying back in, but he got drop kicked by Montez Ford. Dawkins ended up coming in. Him and Montez Ford ended up double teaming on Kofi. They ended up dropping Kofi on his face. And Dawkins then ended up splashing Kofi and for the 2 count. So Dawkins then ended up controlling Kofi by his arm. Ford ended up tagging back in, and him and Dawkins ended up double teaming Kofi once again. Kofi ended up blocking the double team, and then he ended up sending Dawkins out to the floor. We saw Kofi end up running the ropes, and he ended up leaping out of the ring, taking Montez Ford out. And then Xavier Woods jumps off the ring apron, and he took Dawkins down on the outside. So we had Kofi and Xavier Woods. They were bragging to the announcers. Well, actually, Xavier Woods was bragging to the announcers, saying, "Oh yeah, the Street Profits thought they had a chance against the New Day tonight, but we're going to show them that that they weren't ready for this." So Kofi was working on Ford. He was unloading shots to Montez Ford in the corner. Montez Ford, was pretty banged up later on in the match. His ribs were pretty much hurting him. There was a point where he did the splash off the top, which was pretty cool. And at the end of the match, you had Dawkins cover for the pin, and Kofi ended up trying to run in because Dawkins was pinning Xavier Woods. So Kofi ended up trying to come in, but Dawkins ended up winning the match for him and Montez Ford. So the Street Profits end up winning. Post-match, we had the Street Profits end up meeting the New Day in the middle of the ring. And both the Profits and New Day end up hugging. And that was pretty much that. But Street Profits end up winning. Overall, it was a good match. It was a very enjoyable match here between the Profits and the New Day. And then we had Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn. This match was terrible. This match was god-awful. We had Sami Zayn end up ducking into the ropes because Lashley ended up charging into Bobby Lashley, which Bobby Lashley came out with the whole entire Hurt Business, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander. They were all out there. And we had the Sami Zayn was getting intimidated by the Hurt Business outside the ring. And Sami Zayn went to the floor. He started saying shit to Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Lashley ended up bringing Sami Zayn back into the ring. Sami ended up turning around and he ended up stomping on Bobby Lashley. Sami delivered some punches to Bobby Lashley against the ropes. Lashley then took control of the match, and then he ended up clotheslining Sami Zayn. And there was a point in the match where Sami ended up jumping on Bobby Lashley, his knees on the middle rope, which MVP had, was watching. He was forcing MVP to watch that. So Sami Zayn went to the second rope, and he delivered an elbow to Bobby Lashley to the back of Lashley's neck. Lashley ended up kicking out at 1. So Bobby Lashley ended up catching Sami Zayn in midair, and he launched Sami Zayn. Lashley then started unloading on Sami Zayn again. Lashley delivered a neck breaker to Sami. And MVP was barking orders at Lashley. But Lashley ended up running into a boot from Sami Zayn in the corner. Lashley then ended up delivering a long suplex, a vertical suplex to Sami Zayn. So Lashley ended up doing another suplex and to Sami Zayn, and the Hurt Business ended up surrounding Sami at ringside. They were yelling at him. Sami Zayn then ended up shoving Cedric Alexander, and Cedric was going to lay it all out on Sami Zayn, but they ended up saying, "Oh, don't touch, Sami Zayn, because if they do anything, Sami Zayn's going to win the match by disqualification because the referee, will see it." So Lashley ends up coming out of the ring, and he ended up ramming Sami Zayn into the barricade. Sami then countered and rammed Lashley into the ring post. And there was a point in the match where Lashley ended up blocking the haluva kick from Sami. He ended up driving Sami into the mat. Sami then retreated out to the floor, and he looked to leave up the ramp. MVP then trips Sami Zayn. So MVP ended up tossing Sami Zayn back into the ring. The referee ended up having his back turned, so the referee didn't see MVP trip Sami Zayn on the outside. So MVP then tossed Sami Zayn back into the ring. Lashley then locked in the Hurt Lock on Sami Zayn, which Sami Zayn ended up tapping out. So there you go. Bobby Lashley ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had Sami Zayn, pleading with the referee because he was saying, "Oh yeah, he tripped me. And then Corey Graves was like to Sami Zayn, "Oh yeah, I did see MVP trip him." He's telling Sami Zayn that he did see it. But Bobby Lashley ended up winning. Overall, the match was fucking terrible. And then we had Jimmy and Jay Uso backstage. Paul Heyman ends up walking out of Roman's room. Jay Uso started talking about what happened earlier in the 5-on-5 Men's Survivor Series match. So Roman Reigns ends up walking out. He starts on Jay Uso for the loss in the men's match, the Men's Survivor Series match. So Jimmy Uso then ended up telling Roman to give Jay Uso a break. And Reigns ended up talking about Jay losing because he couldn't control his team, because they didn't respect him. So Reigns ended up going on about respect and says, without it, Jay doesn't have a spot at the table. So Reigns ended up, saying, to Jay, get out of here. He ended up dismissing Jay. He ended up telling him to go find Jimmy because Roman doesn't have time for losers. So basically that was that. So then we had Asuka versus Sasha Banks. This was a pretty good match. We had the match started with Asuka taking control of the match. Sasha ended up taking Asuka down. They went back and forth. Sasha ended up grounding Asuka. More back and forth between them. Sasha ends up going for Asuka's arm with the armbar, but Asuka ended up resisting. And Asuka ended up staying calm because Asuka then rolled Sasha, but Sasha got an early attempt with the bank statement. So then Asuka broke the bank statement. Sasha ended up covering Asuka, but Asuka kicked out. Sasha ended up keeping control with the arm locked in on Asuka. Asuka then went for the Asuka lock, and they both got to their feet, and they were still trading holds. Then at the end of the match, you had Asuka end up charging in on Sasha's feet, and Sasha then rolled Asuka up out of nowhere. It got a 3 count out of nowhere, so Sasha ended up winning the match. But overall, it was a pretty good match between Sasha and Asuka. Oh yeah, we had a little video showing, I guess, what happened on the pre-show where somehow, of course, the shitty Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title was, played into the pre-show where we saw the Gobbledygooker. Yes, the Gobbledygooker, who debuted at Survivor Series 1990, and it's been used, quite, a few times in WWE here and there. But the Gobbledygooker ended up capturing the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title from R-Truth. That was on the kickoff. That was on the pre-show. Oh my God. This title, how many fucking times do I gotta say, please retire this title? Please retire the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. Please. It's not funny no more. So we saw the Gobbledygooker backstage. The Gobbledygooker was following a trail of birdseed. So it led to Akira Tozawa pinning the Gobbledygooker for the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. And Akira Tozawa had one of his Foot Clan as the referee. So R-Truth then ended up appearing, ended up pinning Tozawa. This is R-Truth's 45th reign as the 24/7 champion. Can we get this fucking title off TV? Please. Please. It's not funny no more. It's getting fucking annoying now. And terrible. And they're still going to keep it on going. When will it end? So then we had the 5-on-5 elimination Survivor Series match for the women. Team Raw versus Team Smackdown. For Team Raw, it was the Women's Tag Team Champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce, and Lana. Yes, Lana, the woman who went through a table 9 times. 9 times on Monday Night Raw. She has a record of going through the commentary booth. Yeah, and they're saying, oh yeah, with Lana going through the commentary table, oh, this is an idea to get Lana over. No, what is this proof of having Lana go through the announce table 9 times just to get her over? It's fucking ridiculous. So then we had Team Smackdown, Bayley, Natalya, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, and Bianca Belair. This was a great women's 5-on-5 elimination match. It was just very entertaining. It was booked really good. And at the end, it just went to fucking shit. And the whole end to this match was fucking terrible. God awful. Which I'll get to. And then once again, before the match got underway, we saw a package of Lana being put through the announce tables. I'm like, why do we gotta see this again? Why do we gotta see the 9 times that Lana was put through a table by Nia Jax? Why? So we saw Nia Jax. She was waiting in the ring. And out came Shayna Baszler. Lacey Evans then followed. Then Peyton Royce. Peyton Royce, she actually colored her hair. I think it's like a violet purplish there. It kind of reminded me how her hair color looked a little bit when she was in NXT, but it was more darker. But she ended up coming out next. And Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans were put in this elimination match because Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, of course, were injured. So Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke were originally supposed to be on Team Raw. Because of what we saw last Monday on Monday Night Raw, they ended up getting replaced by Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce. So then Lana ended up coming out. And then we had Team Smackdown come out. Bayley ended up coming out first. And Bianca Belair was out. And then Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan and Natalya. So we had Bayley and Lacey Evans start off the match. Bayley ended up taking Lacey Evans down. They were going corner to corner. And then Natalya ended up coming in. Natalya went to work on Lacey Evans. And Natalya then ended up delivering a drop kick to Lacey Evans. Went for the cover. Lacey kicked out at 2. Peyton Royce ends up coming in. Natalya ended up rolling up Peyton Royce for a 2 count. Bianca Belair comes in. And Bianca and Natalya end up doing a double suplex to Peyton Royce. Bianca Belair delivered a moonsault on Peyton Royce, which got a 2 count. So there was a point in the match where Lana ends up tagging herself in, and Nia Jax wasn't happy about that. So Lana and Liv Morgan, they were going at it. Lana got kicked by Liv Morgan. Lana ended up kicking out at 2. She kept control, but Liv ended up taking in Natalya. So Lana and Natalya then locked up. Natalya ended up dropping Lana with a shoulder, and they went back and forth. So then we had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler yell at Lana. And they were telling Lana to get out. So Lana was just standing on the ring steps. And basically after that, Lana did absolutely nothing. Did absolutely nothing for the whole entire match. So then, at the end of the match, we had Nia Jax and Bianca Belair. So the referee ended up counting because both Nia Jax and Bianca Belair were outside. Bianca Belair ends up shoving Nia Jax into the ring steps. Nia Jax tried to stop Bianca Belair from getting back into the ring. Bianca Belair ended up backdropping Nia Jax over the barricade. Bianca Belair then ended up trying to leap back into the ring, but the referee ended up counting to 10. So both Bianca Belair and Nia Jax were counted out. And so Lana was the one who was standing on the ring steps, and she was the sole survivor. So Lana was the winner and the sole survivor of the Women's Survivor Series match. This was fucking god-awful. This was a terrible, terrible decision by WWE. This was the worst I've seen in a Survivor Series women's match, or any of the Raw and SmackDown Survivor Series match. And then Lana begins celebrating, I won the match! I'm the sole survivor! And then Nia Jax ended up looking on, and she was disgusted. I think everybody was disgusted after seeing Lana be the sole survivor. So Lana was dancing around the ring, and she was celebrating. Fucking awful. God awful. And then Lana's going to come out tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. She's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm the sole survivor. I won for Team Raw. Yeah, by doing absolutely fucking nothing, but just standing on the ring steps for the whole match. Awful. God fucking awful. I mean, it was a great match. It was a great Women's Survivor Series match, but the end was just fucking terrible. I mean, this was your chance to get Bianca Belair over. With WWE says, oh, they like to build new stars. Just go back and watch the end of this match. Bianca Belair, WWE missed an opportunity there to make Bianca Belair a big star. Her being here with, Nia Jax in this Survivor Series match. They had a chance, but they blew it. They made Lana the sole survivor. I just fucking laughed when they announced that Lana was the winner and the sole survivor. And I'm sure all of you probably laughed also. Anyways, moving on. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. Champion versus champion. And I have to say, this was a very good match. This was almost like a WrestleMania-worthy main event. Just, they killed each other here in this match, both Roman and McIntyre. But the match started off with McIntyre and Roman Reigns. They locked up in the middle of the ring, and they were trading holds. Roman ended up going to the ropes to force, a break. McIntyre ended up laughing at Roman. Roman then ended up applying a headlock to take control on McIntyre. Reigns ended up taking McIntyre down to the headlock. McIntyre had a headlock of his own, which he applied on Roman. McIntyre then ended up leveling Roman with a big shoulder. Roman went out to the floor. So there was a point where we had Roman end up delivering a Samoan drop to the announce table on McIntyre, where McIntyre ended up going through the announce table, and Roman ended up delivering a spear to McIntyre through the barricade, which looked insane. And he ended up taking McIntyre back into the ring. He went for the cover, and then McIntyre kicked out at 2. And Roman was doing everything, to put McIntyre out of it. So Roman's like, I tried everything. What do I do to get this guy, out? So we had, of course, the fake crowd chant go, "This is awesome." So Roman ended up getting up, delivered a spear, but McIntyre ended up, kicking Roman. Reigns ended up going for a spear, and he ended up hitting it on McIntyre, went for the cover. McIntyre ended up kicking out of it. So Roman ended up charging in again, and then McIntyre ended up hitting the Claymore, which Roman ended up falling into the referee. He knocked the referee out of the ring. So we had Reigns, McIntyre, and the referee. They were all down. So we saw Jay Uso. Jay Uso ended up running down. McIntyre ended up knocking Jay back down to the floor. McIntyre ended up going back over to Roman, and Roman ended up delivering a low blow to McIntyre. Then Jay got back to the ring. Jay ended up delivering a super kick to McIntyre. Roman ended up delivering the Superman punch. And then Roman locked in the guillotine. And McIntyre was still hanging on. And then the new referee ended up coming down. McIntyre was trying to break free of the guillotine. Reigns ended up tightening the hold on McIntyre, ended up tying the guillotine on McIntyre, which he ended up bringing McIntyre down to the mat. McIntyre passed out, and that was the match. So Roman ended up winning the match, of course. But at the end of the match, post-match, Roman ended up standing up. He ended up raising the Universal Championship belt in the air. And the referee ends up handing McIntyre the WWE Championship as, McIntyre slowly covered. Roman ended up looking up, and he ended up seeing Jay on the ramp. So Roman then applauded Jay for what he did. So Roman ends up stopping at Jay, ends up nodding at him. Reigns ends up telling Jay that he did a good job. So pretty much that was basically that. That was basically what happened. But overall, this was a very good match. It was a very enjoyable match. It was almost a WrestleMania main event worthy, or it was a WrestleMania main event worthy match. But they just kill each other here. They gave it all they got. Both McIntyre and Roman here. But good match. And then we get to the Undertaker's final farewell, which, like I said, as at the beginning of the video, this is not going to be the last time that we see the Undertaker. If you all think this is the last time we're going to see the Undertaker, you are all crazy. Because, like I said earlier, you really think WWE is just going to let the Undertaker have his final farewell in front of virtual fans, which basically nobody is there in attendance, but they're just all on a LED screen? No. We're going to see the Undertaker again when the COVID pandemic is over, which hopefully it is next year. When the pandemic is over, and when WWE could allow fans back into the arenas, we're going to get the Undertaker coming back, and they will have another farewell for him. Hell, it could be even a last time we see him in a match. The Boneyard match that he had with AJ Styles, that to me was the final send-off for The Undertaker. Just like how the way that it ended with him riding on the motorcycle, you had a symbol on the other barn. But, people said, I've heard people say that The Undertaker might have, one other last match. People are saying, oh yeah, we could see The Undertaker versus The Fiend. But who knows if that's going to happen. No, but this is not the last time we're going to see The Undertaker. Right when the fans come back into the arenas, The Undertaker is going to make another appearance. So, that's what WWE should have done. I know Survivor Series, of course, was the debut of The Undertaker. He debuted at Survivor Series back in 1990. And they chose to have the final farewell at the pay-per-view that he debuted at. So, I understand why. But to have his final farewell in front of virtual fans, and you heard the fake crowd noise by, oh, thank you, Taker. It just came off as, It just came out bad. With the fake crowd noises. But, I really liked this supposed final farewell for The Undertaker, but we all know that he will be back. He will make an appearance when the fans come back into the arenas. But Roman ended up welcoming the guys who came to say goodbye to The Undertaker. So, first came Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon, of course, had the Hell in a Cell match against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas, Texas. So, but that was I remember that match being really enjoyable. I enjoyed the match at WrestleMania 32. And then out came the Big Show. Yeah, the Big Show came out, after Shane McMahon. And then we had JBL. Good to see JBL there. Jeff Hardy ended up coming out. And what was really cool was Jeff Hardy had Taker's symbol painted on his face, which was cool. And then we had, of course, Mick Foley come out. Mick Foley and the Undertaker have, history together. So, the whole, boiler room brawl that, they had. But the memorable one, of course, was the Undertaker and Mick Foley when he was Mankind in the Hell in a Cell match that happened at King of the Ring 98, which is my all-time favorite Hell in a Cell match. So just that, everybody knows that match. Everybody talks about that match. That match will be forever a part of WWE's history. It's just a classic match. I have not heard any wrestling fan that I know say that they never even saw that match. Everyone has seen that match with The Undertaker and Mick Foley, Mankind, in that Hell in a Cell at King of the Ring 98. If any of you have not seen that match, I don't know what is wrong with you all. You have to check out that match if you haven't seen it. Absolutely classic, and it was a masterpiece. It was a masterpiece of a match. That's to anybody who hasn't even seen the match, who hasn't even watched the match. But then you had, The Godfather come out. It was cool to see The Godfather. You had the Godwins, Savio Vega end up coming out. Savio Vega was there. Rikishi came out. And Rikishi came out to Scotty 2 Hotty's entrance music, with the turn it up. So, but then we had Kevin Nash. It was cool to see Kevin Nash there. Booker T came out. Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Triple H, and then, of course, Kane. So all of them came out, and only the big names out of all these were Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Ric Flair. We did not see no John Cena. We didn't see John Cena. We didn't see Stone Cold Steve Austin, or The Rock, or Bret Hart, or hell, even Brock Lesnar. They didn't even come. Well, of course, with The Rock, you're not gonna expect The Rock to be here for this. If they would have got The Rock, he would just have like a video, saying, thank you, The Undertaker, like that. That was the only way if WWE would have gotten The Rock. But then we had a video package of The Undertaker, which was a very well done video package showcasing The Undertaker's career, highlights of his matches, just absolutely very well done video package. And then we had Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon was in the ring, which he did not look that great. Vince McMahon did not look that great. He's getting up there in age. He's the one that we say, he's senile because of how the WWE product is right now, which it's absolutely terrible. Thanks to him and Bruce Pritchard, and the whole entire creative. But I find it very weird that Vince McMahon was in the ring and the legends weren't even in there. So I'm like, why you bring out the legends only for them not to be there still in the ring when Vince McMahon was in there? So Vince ended up talking about The Undertaker's 30 years in the company, how The Undertaker was striking fear in his opponents, and how The Undertaker was entertaining a global audience. In WWF, yes, he did mention WWF, and also WWE. Vince ended up going on to say that this run will never be duplicated. So tonight, we say goodbye. He kept saying, we say nothing lasts forever, which could be wrong. He kept saying, because the legacy of The Undertaker will live on eternally. So Vince ended up saying, ladies and gentlemen, the dead man, the phenom, The Undertaker. So then we hear, The Undertaker, the bells start to toll. And we saw the flames start to shoot up. Undertaker's symbol appears in the arena. And lightning ends up striking at the other symbol. And we hear, The Undertaker's music here in 16-bit music. Which, I thought it was cool. A little bit different. I mean, it was cool hearing like 16-bit, music of The Undertaker's theme, which may sound like, an old school video game. Back in the, the 80s, early 90s there. But it was cool, in my opinion. So then, after the 16-bit The Undertaker's, music, we had the bells end up tolling again, and The Undertaker end up doing his entrance. And Taker ended up stopping on the ring steps as he got to the ring. More flames were going off around the ring. So then we hear the fake crowd noise of The Undertaker chants. Taker was just standing there as we heard the fake crowd chants continue going, Undertaker. So then Taker ended up getting on the mic. He kept saying, for 30 long years, he's made that slow walk to the ring. And he has laid people to rest time and time again. The Undertaker wanted to say, now his time has come. And so we got the fake crowd chants of thank you, Taker. So Taker ended up saying that his time has come. And that's time for him to rest in peace. So the ring ended up filling up with fog. Taker then was shown tipping his hat. He then dropped down to one knee. He did his pose, his signature pose, his famous signature pose. And we saw a graphic of the late great Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer was on the wall, and we heard the "Oh yeah" from Paul Bearer. And it was a picture of Paul Bearer holding The Undertaker's urn. So Taker ends up looking up at the Paul Bearer graphic, and he was still on his knee. He was posing on his knee, and he was looking down as the lights go out. So then we heard the fake crowd chants of The Undertaker, and there was a spotlight on The Undertaker in the ring. And then the bells started to toll again, and he ended up standing back up. The Undertaker ended up standing back up, and we heard the lightning and thunder ends up striking again. And Taker ended up standing up, does his cutthroat where he goes like, and then Taker ends up exiting the ring, marches up the ramp. He turns back around. He stops. He turns back around to look at the ring. Taker then raised his fist in the air We heard the lightning strikes. And that was The Undertaker's final farewell. And that was how Survivor Series ended. And that's how Survivor Series went off the air. But like I said, this whole show was built around and hyped up around The Undertaker's final farewell, which it's not going to be the last time we see The Undertaker. But overall, I really enjoyed this supposed final farewell for The Undertaker. I like that little image of Paul Bearer, the late great Paul Bearer there, and you hear the "Oh yeah," the voice of Paul Bearer. But overall, Survivor Series was an okay show. It wasn't the best pay-per-view of the year, as I saw some people call it online. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't great. But it was okay. It was an okay, enjoyable show. So anyways, that's it for my review of Survivor Series for this year. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow night with the Monday Night Raw recap and results video. Don't want to review Monday Night Raw anymore because the show does not deserve a full review because of how terrible Monday Night Raw is. But just gonna do a recap and results, from now on. But anyways, that's it for this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw.